Warning. Pro-Tri News is a podcast with different opinions, knowledge, and possibly fake news about triathlon racing. This podcast is for entertainment purposes only, and some stories may be dramatized for comedic effect. Enjoy.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of Pro-Tri News. I'm your host, Kyle Glass. Mark, we gotta put the boys in the corner for a second. You and I were busy this weekend. They tried to record without us, messed it up, and now we got to record with them and show them how it's done.
Whoa. Well, before Pat goes, I've got to say, it's absolute shit state, schoolboy antics going on when Pat was on the thread dishing out technical advice to Talbot.
How to sort his Wi-Fi.
I don't know.
Giving him advice on how to sort his Wi-Fi. We were in a dark.
Were you connected to the mainframe? I think is what Pat said.
I'm just going to say this. If you're watching, if you're listening, make sure you guys go subscribe to our YouTube page, because today I am broadcasting from my parents' house. I got the Disney Castle in the background, and I am plugged into the main router, and I got like a gigabyte up and a gigabyte down of internet. So this problem will never happen again of bad audio.
We had an amazing, Talbot and I did an amazing show on Sunday afternoon. It was just the two of us back and forth. We held it. I was really excited to launch it. So thank you to everyone that waited until we are recording now. It's Wednesday morning. But it was important that the four of us get on. So we apologize for this episode being late, but I think it was the world telling us that, hey, we had to get all four of us on.
Yeah. There was a few pretty good rants in there that probably should have seen the light of day, so it's all good.
Yeah.
I got to say, I struggle to podcast with enthusiasm when I'm away, because you're just triathlon. It's just like triathlon all day, driving up and down a mountain, triathlon. And as soon as I'm home and you say podcast, I'm like, yeah. So I hope to bring a bit more positive energy to this.
But Mark, you will be able to relate. Isn't it crazy? Like you woke up at 5 a.m. or not 5 a.m., 4 a.m. The race happens. You hit that like endorphin high. Your wife wins. Your team member wins, and you're so excited. And it's just such a long day. And then you finally get off your feet, and it's like 5 p.m. And then the team's like, "Let's podcast," and you're like, "Oh, guys, I'm on my come down now." That was my high, and now I'm on my down.
Yeah, and I imagine it's probably the same for you with Lionel Talbot.
Yeah, totally.
I have a blanket rule. I will not record after a race, except when you all just arrived at the house in Texas and forced us to do one and forced Kat to come on. Other than that, yeah, I'm with you. And no matter what they say, spectating is harder work than racing. I'm done at the end of the day.
I agree.
Cool. Well, let's jam about the racing that happened this weekend. Let's kick it off with the.
Okay?
Oh,
yeah,
dude,
you sound sick.
Yeah. Now people can definitely tell me and Talbot apart.
Yeah.
Sorry, racing at the weekend.
Unless I plug my nose.
No, I've been feeling a bit under the weather. I went to a wedding over the weekend and then traveled from Minnesota, and yeah, unfortunately probably picked up a bug along the way. But that means the bug's going to be through my system by the time I get to Nice, and then I don't have to worry about getting sick in Nice. So all good. But let's talk T100 French Riviera this weekend. Obviously, the topic of conversation, Hayden Wilde continues to dominate and win these races, and Ashley Gentle is back. The race kind of played out, I would say, more exciting than the others just because of the single lap bike course. Made it for... I think it changes the dynamics of the race. What do you guys think?
Loved it. I thought it was absolutely incredible. I know that the athletes loved it. And I think the more important thing here is we really need to tip our hat to the T100 for pulling this off. I know it sounds insane, and everyone's like, what are you talking about? Every 70.3, they're having every weekend, there's single loop bike courses. That's thousands and thousands of athletes. When you're getting, 40 athletes to roll through a single loop course, I heard that, I could be wrong, maybe we could have Sam on the pod talk about it, like a rolling bubble that basically went through the entire course to make sure for the athlete's safety and all that. And I just thought it was just way better. Maybe a 2-loop course, but 1 loop was just incredible.
I thought obviously the the region for it to be on display. I thought it was fantastic. You know, we had skepticism about the broadcast and how that was going to be pulled off across an 80K single loop course. They did that, so chapeau. I was really, really impressed, and I would hope, and I'm assuming the T100 hopes, that Frejus is going to become, a
Their
staple in the.
Kona, would you
it-
say?
I don't know about that yet, but I would just hope that this could be on the calendar. Not to mention that it was combined with the Super Weekend, which we'll tap into as we get further into the show. So no, I thought from the racing standpoint, I mean, Hayden Wild, he did the double. He looked absolutely incredible. I mean, what
thought,
else can
yeah, I mean,
what else can you
Hayden
say?
was good from the swim, right? He was good from the swim. He had a good swim, fastest T1. He waited on the bike, definitely. Like he played it a bit patient. And then he just slapped everyone on the run. You know, Yella outrun him just after the fastest T2 to really get after him. But I did wonder, because obviously Hayden was getting caught pretty quickly at the end. I did wonder, has he deliberately kind of tried to hold back for the World Series the next day? We saw though that he probably had to really, but he still got beat again pretty comfortably in the World Series, which is super unsurprising. You know, I don't care if you can ease off for the last 4K, you still have to put a massive amount of work in.
Yep.
But Hayden is just by far the best T100 athlete, right?
Yep.
I think he just keeps getting lucky is the thing. I mean, he got lucky. There's him getting caught on a hot mic. A couple people have sent it over to us. Him talking about racing in prototype shoes that they don't check him anyway, so it doesn't matter. And then he had basically a lead biker in front of him, lead moto, basically cutting the wind out. So, I mean, he just keeps getting lucky. So, shout out to Hayden.
Is that like 7 foot tall, 4 meter tall Rico Bogan? Is that who we're talking about?
What, the moto?
Yeah.
I can't honestly, Carl. I couldn't work out if you were being serious there for a while.
Man,
Yeah,
my
same here.
sarcasm's
No,
getting better.
He's just too good for them. And Yelagines, again, is probably quite comfortably the second best. You know, Rico has to get away to really do any damage. Matthew Margier was really good on the bike, super aggressive, and he ran well. I thought the surprise result was probably Sam Dickinson with third. He's good, and he's had a good result. But
anytime you get a wild card on the podium, I think we gotta do a big hats off to him. I mean, that's always a big one, right? You get the call up, and then you show up and you say, "Hey, I'm going to earn my spot here." So,
Sam Dickinson was good, but I got to say, I'm more surprised with Morgan Pearson's 6th place than I am with Sam's 3rd.
Well, he had the fastest swim and the fastest run, Morgan Pearson, and still came 6th. So, you know, if I was him, I don't think I'd have to search too far to work out what I need to work on. What about his? I don't understand his swimming. Can someone explain this to me? Like, he can't make the front pack in the Olympics. He's regularly gets. His swim is so inconsistent, but then he leads out the swim here.
Dude, he's the wild man.
I mean,
what is it?
No, he's had really good he's had really dominant short course swims before, and so I think the one message that's really clear from the athletes that are currently in doing short course, and then when they step over and they do T100, is that these swims are just easier across the board, right? There's way less traffic. You're only starting 20 wide instead of 55 wide. And so whether you're left, right, where you line up just doesn't matter. And then there's just no fighting around the cans. So,
because it's a longer day, so people just don't want to incur that sheer stress early on.
Well, yeah, and then the depth of field for the swim just isn't there either. Like, you have half the athletes on the starting line, let's use this weekend, are never going to swim in front of Morgan to start. So now he's really only swimming against 9 other people.
Yeah, I mean, like, if I'm Morgan Pearson, I mean, Sam Dickinson outrode him by 5.5 minutes, somewhere around there. If I'm Morgan Pearson, unless I know a lot of these athletes have dreams, which is, I don't know if everyone saw our poll over the weekend, we can hit on that later on. And maybe his dream is to go back to the Olympics. man, to make money, I truly believe Morgan can do really good at this distance if he focused on it.
I was only one
I
place
agree.
off. I said if he got fifth, I said I predicted him to get fifth over the weekend, even though I had him on the podium, my podium pick. I said I think he'll get fifth, and I think he should be really happy about that. I think he got sixth. I still think he should be really happy about that. He beat a bunch of people that are really good at this distance. I mean, like Mark said, it's pretty clear where you got to keep putting in work. I know he is.
Yeah.
I don't think he's that far away from a podium performance here.
Yeah.
Can we talk
No, I
about
agree.
the person? Go ahead, Mark. Finish it out.
Sorry, I was just before we move on from that. I will say it's like I always say that if he improves his bike by 6 minutes, even if his run is the same, which would give him the fastest bike split, right? That's how far behind he was. Even if he then has the same run fitness, he will de facto run slower, in my opinion, because you have burnt through essentially more carbohydrate, more calories, because you've physically had to push probably 20, 30 watts more for 2 hours or an hour and a half. So like he needs to improve his cycling, but then what he might find he lacks is he won't be comfortably the fastest runner off the bike. What he will do though is get himself in a position where he can battle with the fastest runners.
Yeah. I think that's the most important thing here. And then like we all do have to remember in a race like this where Lionel Sanders needs that additional 30 minutes on the bike, which is a 70.3, and then that another 2 to 3 miles on the run to solidify themselves, where here they really struggle. This is that shorter distance for your athletes like Morgan Pearson, who you can limit your damage on the bike and still win some of these. So, yeah,
If I was
definitely
him, I
one to
would go
watch.
to Wollonga and try and win it because lots of people won't be there. That's going to be a small field. Morgan can podium or even win one of these races.
At where? Where did you say? Sorry.
Is it not Wollonga or wherever it
Wollonga?
is? Wollonga. Same thing. You know?
Yeah.
Let's talk about someone that Morgan Pearson did outride. Sam Long, the strongest legs in triathlon, got outrode by Morgan Pearson, who was 6 minutes adrift from the race. Sam Long got 15th place. Like at this point, I just don't know if Sam's so focused on Nice that this guy's going to go and win or get a top 5, or if he's at this point of the season yet again where he's just gassed.
Has he put his saddle down, Pat?
I'm
just holding a picture up. This is a nonsense take. I don't know whether he's played with his bike position.
It's funny. His position does look different there, but normally I don't see a lot of side profile shots of him. Kyle, when you put it in that sort of context, then I do think that there's, we don't have the full picture on what his training is, obviously, right now. But I don't think there should have ever been a world where on a course like this, he's getting outridden by many people, period.
It's perfect course for it.
Either he's this was the end of his final Nice block, and he's like, look, I'm actually just going to train through this. Or there's alarm bells ringing.
8 minutes, Pat. Rico Bogan outrode Sam Long by 8 minutes.
Just real quick before we move on. Did you know Rico Bogan was only 1 second faster than Hayden Wild's bike? So people that say Hayden Wild can't bike fast.
Who has ever said Hayden Wild can't bike fast?
I don't want to harp on Sam too long. I think that a lot of people, he has a big North American following. I think that a lot of people can agree, and a lot of people say he should quit doing this T100 and go focus on IRONMAN. I don't know if that's the answer either. I think Sam Long is really, really, really good at 70.3s, and I think that he's crossed that x-axis of training for an Ironman and ramping back up his volume again and doing his big, big, massive days, and I think it just takes away from his speed. And I just think that a top 20 for Nice and Sam Long would be a fantastic result for him. Would be fantastic. And I think will be about where he's at. Anything more than that, I would say, is nearly bonus. But I think that for his sponsors, making money and all that, I would have hung out in North America and just been 70.3 after 70.3, just knocking them down. Just Louisville, the Happy Valley, like all these different 70.3s. I'd have just been throwing down at every single one of these and just racking up W's and kissing babies.
He would
I don't know.
Yeah. We'll see what happens. I mean, there's still much more races left to go in the season, so we'll see how Sam Long bounces back. Let's talk a little bit about the women's race. Obviously, the big one is Ashley Gentle returning to the top step of the podium. Second place, Paula Finley, and then third place, India Lee. Basically, as Mark put it, the OG of T100.
It's just the best podium for, I don't know, old fans of the sport and people that surround themselves with the athletes all the time. Ashley, super social, super lovely, great athlete, won loads. Love to see her win again. Like, you love to see that, especially when she, people start to counter out, which we never did. We never really, in fact, we never counted Ashley out.
No.
And then Paula, I mean, who doesn't love Paula? Like, everything about their brand, like the way she interacts with people, the way she chats to the fans, the way she's open and emotionally honest. And then India Lee, I just think it was like, before we actually get into the race, it was just one of those podiums I was super chuffed to see.
So I don't want to take anything away from Ashley's win, because the number one rule about racing is you have to be there to win it. You don't get to say, "Oh, I could have won this if I would have, if I would have showed up, I could have won this." So I want to rule all that out. But it does need to be said that the podium from T100 London was not there, along with Julie Durand. So I think let's just do that. I am over the moon for Ashley. You have to be at the races to win the races. So let's move on from that. But I that just does need to be acknowledged here for a second.
Of course, there was some firepower hitting from the series in the women's side. But like you said, turn up and race well. And Ashley put together a really, really good all-round race. Only a couple minutes back on the bike. I'm just taking out Alana Siffert's bike. I don't care. Like, I don't. It does nothing for me if you have the fastest bike split and then finish 10th with a run that's 11 minutes slower than the fastest run. It's like, why did you just full send the bike and then you can't run? I don't know what I'm watching. It doesn't do anything for me. So then, Paula Finley, really good bike. She's been out there wrecking this course. She has a cycling specific coach now. I thought she looked great on the bike. And what I really liked is she had a plan, clearly. When the hill came, she slapped a minute into everyone on a 1.5k hill, basically, to get herself back in contention. And I love a plan executed like that. Like, I'm going to ride maybe sub power to the hill, and then I'm absolutely slapping it. And she was great.
Yeah. So good.
Any surprises in the race?
I think Ashley's put herself in a good position. She went to Andorra. She's doing altitude, a little bit altitude. I know it's not too high, but and then not only that, the back half of the series, which will be very interesting as far as the points goes, is a lot of these athletes that we talk about that just podiumed in London. They're pretty scatterbrained the rest of the year. They're going to be heading to Kona, to 70.3 Worlds. They have lots of other focuses. And Ashley Gentle doesn't have a single other focus. Her focus is this series. And she could have just been timing this perfectly as far as coming into form and all that. Josh is working closely with her. So I wouldn't necessarily just sleep on Ash. I mean, she could have just timed this. I hate to say timed it perfectly, but don't be surprised when we comes to the end of the series and all these athletes that sign this T100 contract, they're all they don't care about the contract. They care about Kona and they care about 70.3 Worlds, and they're showing up to collect paychecks. So
I'm going to wholeheartedly agree here and say that I think Ashley will win one more T100, because I think you're going to have, now when we look at I think you're going to have a lot of post-Kona fatigue, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mental and physical. And so, and we look at who on that podium from London was doing it, right? And it's just, let's just look at it. It's like, look, the thing is, if you perform in Kona, you don't want to do T100. If you have a bad race in Kona, you probably don't want to do any more races either. So like, you're damned if you do, damned if you don't, to some extent, right? Like you got to really, really
That's Nib
want it.
Charles, is it? We're talking about there.
Even Julie Duran.
Taylor
And Julie
Nib.
Duran Nib Charles and Julie Duran. And Julie Duran's just had a bike crash as well. We don't know how bad it is. She hasn't really spoke about it too much. So she could be banged up for a little while. Presumably she'll get back for Kona, but then what's the toll of that? I think it's a really good point.
I just, again, if you want to do the T100 races, if that's something you want from intrinsically, you'll do it. But how many times have we seen, I mean, an athlete win Kona and then just be like, you know what, I wanted to go do this race afterwards. I'm just completely mentally cashed.
Yeah, and to add to that, the men's will be different. Nice is nearly a month earlier, so they have a lot more. I mean, that is like nearly 30 extra days to recover for the back half of the series. So,
and there's not that many people racing Nice that are doing the T100 series.
I would say Martin Van Riel is kind of important, but yeah, fair.
Yeah.
So
ready to move on? Nail in the coffin for T100?
Yeah, I think they've got a bunch of great, they got the race replaced in Spain. I don't know how they did that. So shout out to them. So there's going to be another race here in Europe in the week after Nice. So congrats to them for pulling that off and getting it done. Congrats to T100 for doing a broadcast that I thought was going to be really challenging for them to pull off. So I think that's great. I think just because it was in tandem, we should do the World Series, right?
Yep.
So
WTCS Frejus. I mean, for me, like Matthew Hauser's unbeatable. Like, there's no reason why. Like, Hayden wants to try and do both series throughout the end of the year, but in my opinion, I don't see him closing the gap to Hauser in short course this year.
Matt Hauser showed that on Sunday he can single-handedly dictate what happens in one of these races. He had an entire field chasing, and he did the lion's share of the work in that front group of 8. And then he still outran Vasco Valaca and Miguel Hidalgo in third.
I do got to say, on a pre-show, Kyle didn't even mention 2 names, and that was Alex Yee and Hayden Wild. And when you look at the results, I guess they didn't need to be mentioned because they were nowhere near the front.
It won't last. They're better runners. I just think they're better runners, and when they are fit and focusing on the race, Valaca. I mean, the both of them have put Valaca, Hidalgo, and Hauser to bed many times when they have turned up focusing on a race. And I think Hauser is not getting lucky. He's one of the best athletes in the world, but over an Olympic distance race where they both are 90% focused on it, I think they'll be back.
Do you not think, guys, real quick, let's just have a group huddle real quick. We can turn all the Australians against us for the remainder of this podcast, or we could have them on our side. So should we tell the truth, or?
I've been actively trying to get rid of them as
I
listeners
love
for
Australia.
about 2 years now. We've slammed on the Southern Hemisphere so many times, totally unnecessarily. We bash their Olympic team. We talk about their races being joke races that no one goes to. If we just bash on Hauser now,
I went to
we can
Cairns.
cut that whole continent out.
My God. Oh, I do got to say.
Mark's just bitter because it's another colony that the UK dropped the ball on.
It's a prison camp. What are you talking about? It's not a colony. No, Hauser's great. He's also wicked for the sport. I like that the T100 had him in some of their media as well. He is strong as an ox. I just think over the Olympic distance that Hayden Wild and Alex Yee are still the thoroughbred runners. Look at what Alex is running. Like, he's clearly running a lot. He ran a 13:13. I don't know how much swimming and cycling you can realistically be doing and running that fast. So yeah. Hauser's capitalizing on it because he wants to win a World Series. He deserves to win a World Series. He's by far the best athlete this year. but we are the year after an Olympics. Let's see what happens over the next couple of years.
And if you were a fan of Alistair Brownlee racing back in the day, and Johnny, you can go watch some old videos on World Triathlon. Alistair would come out of that water, and he wanted Javier Gomez off the back of that group. And we saw a replica of that in Frejus this weekend. Matt Hauser came out of the water. Alex Yee could have made that group, and Matt Hauser single-handedly himself made sure that none of those runners were going to be in that group, and he did the effort. So you have to tip your hat to him. He's racing the people there, and it's kind of like when he crosses the finish line, he's like, what else do you want? I did the swim at the front, I did the bike at the front, and I held the boys off. So hats off to him.
It is the best style of racing.
Yeah. It's so cool to watch. I mean, I don't know if people, you got to go back and watch. The only way he can make it better is if he's screaming at the peloton like Alistair used to, or the group.
Yeah, dropping the C-bomb mid-race would be the only way. He's Australian. I bet he swears a bunch as well, to be fair. So, yeah, I reckon Matt Hauser is the star of the moment of men's short course for sure.
Yeah.
Perfect. In the women's race, we had first place Cassandra Beaugrand, second place Jean Lahaire, and in third place Leonie Perriot. So I think, the big surprise for me here, you had roughly a group of 26 or 27 women enter T2 together. They came together fairly late on the bike, five lap bike course, which was cool for this course because typically your standard sprint distance would be 4 laps of 5K, 2 laps of 2.5K on the run. This one, I thought they made it a lot better. It was 5 laps of 4K on the bike, and then 3 1.6 kilometer laps and change on the run. So I thought that was just a nice little circuit that they had there. Cassandra Beaugrand was definitely, either she was taking it as easy as possible, but she looked under pressure a few different times from Jean on the run. And then ultimately, though, with, I don't know, let's call it 100 meters to go, was able to punch out and seal the win. So she was challenged a little bit. Leonie, who looked really good in Hamburg, was, I would say, off the pace a little bit, came into third later in the race. Ultimately, what's shaping up here, we've got a ton of short course racing still coming up. So in 2 weeks, they're in Karlovy Vary for a very hard race. And then they go to Way High at the end of the month. And then the grand final is 3 weeks later in the third week of October in Wollongong.
Are those all Olympic distance races, the last 3?
Kyle.
Pop quiz. Quiz.
Don't. I knew that originally. I don't know. I think they are. I think they are all Olympic distance.
Well, that would be great because I think that makes it a little bit more exciting racing than doing a bunch of freaking sprints.
I think in tandem, we should probably close this and just say that the Super Weekend, in my opinion, was a success. I hope that World Triathlon can continue to organize that. We're going to see another one here in Wollongong. I hope that this is something that we get to keep seeing, whether it's even in the case of this race in Spain, where they had in Valencia, where they had a World Cup aligned with the T100. I think that's an opportunity here. So I'm really excited about this. Talbot and I talked about it in our first pod. I don't want to spend too much time on it right now, but does World Triathlon need to kind of rejigger the series a little bit to make it a bit more engaging? And are we a little bit lost on the season-long narrative across the board? Like, notice we haven't talked about the points for T100. We haven't talked about the points for World Series. I don't think that we don't end up talking about it, it seems, until the very end. And so, yeah.
I know why we don't talk about it. Because over the weekend, I put up an Instagram story on Pro Tri News. And I do have to preface this. Probably a majority of our following is long course based. So the results could be skewed. But I did say, if you could only watch one triathlon format for the pros for the rest of time, which would it be? And it was 57% Ironman 70.3. Then the next in line was 29% T100. And then next in line was World Triathlon, 9%. And then I go on to say, if you were a brand and you wanted to sponsor an athlete, what type of athlete would you pick? 73% Ironman, 20% T100, 5% short course. And it goes on. And it's just, is it dead? Is the Olympics the only thing that is holding up short course?
Yes. And the thing is, I don't think that World Triathlon would argue with you on that.
But what is the issue here? Is it that people just can't relate to short course? Like the draft legal format, the fast. I just feel like that you have these amateur athletes and they race on the same course as Cat Matthews, as Lionel Sanders, as all these athletes, and they can compare their times. When you watch a short course event, it's like, oh, wait, why are they riding in a group? Oh, wait, so what? I don't know. Maybe I'm biased. Maybe I'm just too much of a hater, but I just feel like that a majority of the fans of the sport can't relate.
Do they lack celebrity a bit? Have we not got, because like the legends, right, drew people in. So you have Alistair, he drew a massive European crowd in to watch. KB became a bit like, I think KB can do that slightly. Sandra probably in France really helps them. But like, do they lack like these really big public personalities that make it interesting as well?
KB's a perfect example here. KB was winning these, won the Olympic gold medal. No one even cared about him. Comes over to Ironman. KB's one of the most liked. Everyone, anytime we put Christian in a Lionel Sanders video, everyone's like, we love them so much. All the media and all that. It all came from long course. I mean,
I'm going to give a suggestion that I've given multiple times before, but I think it's perfect now. The big one is that I think it's time for World Triathlon to make their broadcast product free. And I think
I agree.
That's one where they're going to look at it and go, yeah, but we make $550,000 in, processing fees. And it's like, look, you guys have to have some long-term focus here and go, we're going to make a product that we can sell against. But when your three biggest competitors, which are Ironman, T100, and SuperTri, are all making their product for free. Now, I would say we can all agree World Triathlon Broadcast is the best. But when it's free 99 versus $37 a year, people are voting. And they'll just say, you know what? I'm going to watch Zell MC instead. I can only watch. There's T100 and Zell MC this weekend. I'll just skip the World Series.
I've never heard free 99 before. I love that. Yeah, I agree. It's like, but then I wonder, like, are the others already looking at ways they can put theirs behind a paywall? And like, T100 is to an extent, but you can watch it on the website, but you could also watch it on TNT. I agree, though. I think it is prohibiting. Sometimes I don't get it. Sometimes I'm like, I can't be bothered to pay for that. And even though it's the year, like I missed the first couple of races, I'm like, I'm not going to bother. And then I get it eventually. But if I'm umming and ahhing over it, most people aren't buying it.
Yep.
Here's a question. Andrew Messick was at Ironman for 12 years. Scott Deroux has started his reign at Ironman. And I think he's already done what a majority of us want, which that has brought the race day, the World Championships back to a single day event in Kona, which is what everyone wanted. If you're Scott Deroux to stamp your legacy at Ironman, and I know this is hypothetical, if you were able to get the 70.3 distance at the Olympics, do you know what that would do for our sport? I mean, I feel like that, not only for our sport, but for Ironman, because then people could literally, there's very few Olympic sports that as an amateur human, you could just go and do. And could you imagine if an Olympic sport you could just go and do? Like you could go sign up and do the distance yourself and all that. You can't. I mean, you can go play in intramural leagues. You can go do all this stuff too. But do you know what I mean? Like for the growth of this sport, I could only imagine what getting the individual race 70.3 distance Olympics would do for the sport.
So we're living in La La Land a little bit here with that, but I want to provide a little bit of context for it on what would have to happen, right? And so right now the restriction is because people will say, well, yeah, well that's a great idea, Tal, but why can't they just do that? The Olympics has a finite amount of registered athletes that they can onboard, right? So they can't just go and add a discipline and a certain number of athletes just because they want to, right? If they're in a situation now where they're full, and if they want to add something, they got to take something away. So that's problem number one. Problem number two is if they said, okay, yep, we can allow 60 additional athletes in. Ironman would have to figure out, okay, how are we actually going to do this, right? Because the Ironman has no attachment with the IOC currently. So they'd have to be partnered with World Triathlon to navigate some of this and to prepare a pipeline to do this. This is a very long-term project. Scott would have to probably be at Ironman for the next 15 years to try and get this through. Do I think there's room? And is this something that I would love to see or think about in the Olympics? Totally. I think this would if you had 70.3 in the Olympics, here's what it would do. It would come along with short course. It would completely change the game in triathlon. These long course athletes that are already like the ones that are getting paid a lot would be getting paid even more. This would create an economic boom in triathlon like we simply haven't seen. It would be amazing.
Why are we saying 70.3? Surely they're going to try and push for the 100K.
Talbot wants T100. Yeah, of course. But Talbot wants it to be a distance that's more recognized.
People, I hate to say it. People rather do 70.3 than 200. But
I think it's a better distance with better balancing. I just agree, and I like that it has the legacy of triathlon attached to it rather than just because Olympics is a new invention based off what they could sell as a product at Olympic distance. It's like an introductory level. So is it not way more likely it'll be T100? And then if so, are we in favor of it? Because I'm sort of not. I would rather not have a long distance race than have T100 in, because it's just going to be the exact same athletes racing a third race. They'll do the relay, they'll do the Olympic, they'll do the T100.
I think, so I'm going to, while I agree with you, Mark, I think that for triathlon on the whole, it would be the best thing possible. It would be a better thing for the sport on the whole. Definitely. And I think let's just hypothetical here. The short course piece, those athletes remain, but they bring in 40 new athletes for the T100. Then all of a sudden you do get every athlete that goes, no, I'm going to focus solely on my chances to win a gold in the T100 distance, right? And all of a sudden you get an athlete like, let's just use a Magnus that's thinking about going, that was doing T100, has won a T100 and chose to leave the series. He might all of a sudden go, well, this is my shot at Olympic glory. I'm going to come back in, right? Mm-hmm. And I think that to me would be the big unlock. I think the problem here is going to be, speaking very candidly, I would be a betting man that the $20 million in funding that the T100 has received recently gives them till the end of 27. And T100 becoming into the Olympics is not even a 2032 option. Best case scenario could be a 2036 option, right? So we're 11 years away from this happening. But would this completely change the game in the sport? Undoubtedly. It would change the trajectory of my business without question.
I just think if there's things that make sense, I would say 95% of the people probably listening to this podcast, in their minds, they're saying, why wouldn't it be 70.3 in the first place? I don't understand. Like, no one can understand this. And so I just think even with this audience, I think it would just make sense for the majority of the other audience as well. So
I think that there's been a bunch of these opportunities in the last 3 or 4 years. It was in a Messick era when he was the CEO, and it's now in a Daru era when he's the CEO, where there's been these opportunities to have a bridge with T100. And at times the T100 has burned that bridge. At times IRONMAN has burned that bridge. You know, I've done enough negotiating in my life that you always want to keep doors open. And I think this would be one where if I was Scott Daru, I would just knock on that door and say, hey, Sam, are we doing everything possible right now to build the sport up as best we can? Like, I know we haven't always seen eye to eye, but are we doing everything right now? Because I have some ideas, and here's ways where we could both groups could have momentum upwards, and they don't even have public facing. We don't have to know that they're working together.
But a lot of the times it just takes someone bringing it to the table. And a name that's not talked about enough is Charles Adamo, a guy who back in the day had this crazy mind of inventing this Collins Cup, so you say, but this new league of professional triathlon, which has evolved now into the T100 and has given millions of dollars to professional athletes. And it wasn't exactly the goal, what he wanted, but it was able to fruitfully turn into what the T100 is today. And if it wasn't for Charles Adamo, that wouldn't be here today. Of course, Mike Moritz and investors and all this stuff. And so I just think it just begins the talk of 70.3 in the Olympics. Just there needs to be that figure that stands up for it and preaches it. I think it'd be amazing for the sport.
It would be. If you put a non-draft race in the Olympics, it would completely change the game here.
And speaking of 70.3s, there was another 70.3 this weekend. Zell. I would argue to say Mark was there posting stories, trying to make everyone jealous all weekend. The most beautiful 70.3 on the circuit.
Yeah, I think that's totally fair to say. It's in the Austrian Alps. It's a lake. Right, so the town is full of Middle Eastern tourists a lot of the summer round, and it plays into why it's so beautiful. The marketing board in Zell did a genius thing that essentially paradise in the Quran is a mountain range with a lake at the bottom, etc., etc. And they marketed to the Middle East, paradise on earth, come to Zell. So they get this massive glut of Middle Eastern tourists coming because it is like kind of paradise on earth. The ride is just the swim is in this beautiful clear lake surrounded by mountains. The bike course is kind of rolling, nice roads, climbs a really nice, beautiful mountain, drops back through the town so you can see all the fans, goes out and back in again. And the run course is around the lake with like these incredible backdrops. So yes, it's a sellout race every year for very good reason. And it makes for a relatively exciting race because it's not a pancake flat bike course. It's quite challenging. And this year it was a Pro Series race. And of course, it's held the 70.3 World Championships there in the past. So it has a bit of a history of triathlon, does Zell.
The coolest thing about 70.3, and I know people say that we just love Ironman way too much. The coolest thing about it is you can race on the most beautiful courses in the world, and then you can go to the absolutely worst courses in the world in Happy Valley, Pennsylvania, where the 70.3 North American Championship is going to be next year.
Bro, it's a pretty place.
Bro, how do you even compare that to something like Zell? And that represents America. Happy Valley.
It sounds about right.
I mean, rolling hills, Amish. What
I don't know.
You want?
It'll be.
I watched that hype video for the race, and I was trying to get excited myself, and I was like, and then I'm just looking over single-handedly Mark's Instagram stories of Kat walking into the grocery store.
Yeah, you can't compare. I mean, the problem is I've been to Austria a bunch of times. I mean, it's absolutely incredible. I mean, Austria.
Should we tee off the race?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. I mean, Mark, you were there, obviously. Kat, I would say I mean, she did, I think, what she was fully capable of. I don't know how she was grading herself over the weekend, but I mean, you get a win and you win by almost 4 minutes. It's tough not to be super happy about that.
Yeah, super happy. Off the back of like she said before the race, massive training load. So you can still have great performances off lots of training load, but it's always a bit of a gamble. I think she's most happy with the swim. Got out the lead swim group with the likes of Rebecca Clark leading, Lena Meisner in there, and a few others, though, and Lisa Perterer, who is making a name for herself as a middle long distance athlete. But then Solveig Losseff made the group as well, which, if you're the likes of Laura Philipp and you see Kat and Solveig getting out the swim with, Rebecca Clark, that, I don't know, that might be ringing some alarm bells. Onto the bike, they had a nice group rolling, and then Kat, there was a referee came up alongside Kat and sort of said, "Be careful," and she said, "For what?" Like, I'm 30 meters behind the girl in front, but she didn't ring. That was like, "Oh, sorry, I'm off." So she went to the front way earlier than she was planning because she just didn't want to play around with penalties. Dropped the hammer on the climb, took the quam up the climb. Lisa Perterer climbed really well. Must have been sort of 4.9 watts a kilo on a TT bike, something like that for Lisa Perterer. And then they got clear. Solveig Losseff lost about 3 minutes on the bike. Lisa got dropped and got back on. She said she did a die or death effort to get back on. They rolled into transition and Kat ran away with it. Lisa Perterer taking second, Solveig Losseff third.
Is it fair to say you could see these 3 women in the top 5 in Kona?
There's a world. Like, you would put Kat and Solveig there, I think, given their Ironman performances already. Lisa Perterer is really good in the heat, self-confessed, did really well in Singapore, likes racing in the heat. Kona's hot. She was second in Lake Placid with a really good bike leg. I can tell you she rides bloody well. She swims well. Yeah, I think, you've got to see, to get in the top 5, they've got to beat 1 or 2 of Lucy Charles, Laura Philipp, Julie Deron. But it's doable.
I mean, what blows my mind is just how long Lisa Perterer has been doing the sport. And then obviously, like, she didn't have this level of success in short course. And then she bops over to long course and just throttles into it straight away.
Yeah, like, she's podiumed in 2 or 3 Ironmans now already. She's podiumed in 3 Ironman now already, hasn't she? She's podiuming in Pro Series races. She's podiuming in T100 races. I bet she looks back and thinks, "What was I doing at a short course?" Because she was bang average, and she's really good at this.
Yeah, great.
Mark, I did see some talk of the women's race coming into the back of the men's field.
Oh, yeah. And I've got to say, as Kat said it to me, and Lisa said the same afterwards, well done, boys. The women's race got onto the back of the men's race, and there were pro men. So Kat caught up to the back of a couple of them across the top of the climb, and they recognised that she was there. So they heard the motorbike. They pulled over to the side of the road and waved her through, made no effort to try and stay on. Lisa Perterer said she caught someone, and they apologised to her, dropped straight back. So I think this attitude is catching on. And if all pro men act like that, there isn't a problem with time gaps in between the races. Mm-hmm. So kudos to the guys, because we slag them off a lot. So it is worth recognising. I don't know the names, but the pro men that, they are the tail end pro men in Zell were really good throughout the whole day, especially on a technical, narrow, winding course. So yeah, nice point, Talbot.
Yeah. The men's race, another good race. Thoughts on it, Mark?
Yeah,
you were there.
That's a big 17-person pack out the water, I think, which luckily got whittled down to like a 10-person pack on a bike. But again, the early part of that course, it makes that 12 meters look mighty short, doesn't it? On the TV, Race Ranger keeping them at 12.
This has got to be something that's revisited over the winter. I mean,
it's only going to get worse.
The realistic thing would just be to go, hey, let's make a change here. We're going to go to 20 meters for the Pro Series. I think the frustrating part for me is Scott Deroux came on our podcast and said, well, it could be 20 meters. It could be 24 meters. The issue is, for me, is that the people that he has in his ear are going to be defending the 12 meters for some reason. And my biggest thing is there's a reason that Ironman hasn't put out a survey to their pro athletes, because they already know the answer. And I wish this is one where the higher ups at Ironman would just wave their magic wand that they're capable of and just make it happen.
A few of their rebuttals are, though, and we'll hit on this later, so I don't want to go into it too much. They don't want the rules to be different from the amateur athletes to the pro athletes. Which, Mark, is there a different wetsuit rule for the amateur athletes and the pro athletes? Just curious.
Correct. Is there a different slingshotting rule? Correct. We do this all the time. We know there are arguments. We've talked about this so much. But I will say that race does have a 15K, 30 odd minute climb at 5%, with the last 2K is like 11%, and they stayed together as a group. So these boys are all riding very well. So would that group stay together at 20 meters on the flat if they stayed together for 30 meters up a climb at 12 meters? Sorry, for 30 minutes up a climb. Like, that group would stay together anyway. So it's easy just to focus on the 12 meter and think people are just getting a free ride. But once you're over the climb and you've hung on for dear life, some people are just cruising into transition. I don't think it affects the results, because they still had to work
at this race.
At this race, because Fabian Kraft is a seriously good German athlete who we need to be paying some attention of. It is not a particularly quick run course, yet Fabian Kraft runs a 109.45 with his nearest challenger 2 minutes back for run pace. Like, that's a fast run on a fast run course. He is a seriously good athlete. He was right at the front of the swim. He never was far away on the bike. So Fabian Kraft took the win in, honestly, just pretty dominant style. He won by 2 minutes 45 or something. Gregor Payet in second, another good athlete, one of these Euro 70.3 athletes out of Luxembourg. Just a nice, strong all-round performance. Then Nick Thompson, off the back of his, was he claiming world record VO2 or super high VO2 max test, took home third place with a fairly average run, but he'd ride the fastest bike just. So that was the podium.
Yep. There is some other races on this weekend. You can tune into them via the Ironman tracker. 70.3 Poland, 70.3 Belgium, and 70.3 Santa Cruz, which none of them will be live streamed, but lots of pros racing this weekend. Let's dive into some hot takes. What do we got, Kyle?
Well, I know that we dunked on it a little bit earlier, but 70.3 Happy Valley will be the North American Championship. I was pretty bummed about it originally because, as you all remember, I went on a very long monologue about all the different races in North America that could host the North American Championship. I believe the Happy Valley race is a 1-year contract, so with maybe an option. I'm still waiting to get confirmation on that, but I'm starting to come around to the idea. I went to Pennsylvania, actually, this exact place, probably like 6 years ago, and it is really pretty in its own right. But again, it's not St. George, it's not Zell MC, so you'll have to take it a little bit with a grain of salt. However, Penn State University is there, and they have a ice cream place on campus that's over, I think it's 150 years old, and if you've been making ice cream for 150 years, you know how to make ice cream. So it's pretty dang good.
So it's pretty new to European standards.
Yeah, exactly. So according to Mark, it's relatively new. So
that's awesome.
I was muted, Talbot, making the same joke. I like it. All right, cool. So I like it. Yeah, thanks for doing it for me, mate. I've never been to Pennsylvania. What I like about some of these races like this is it would give me a reason to go. And I like that about the sport sometimes. You know, we can all go to bloody main cities in Texas and Florida and California, like LA and stuff. So actually giving people an excuse to go to new places isn't always a bad thing.
Fair. So another one, why does WTCS have a race the same weekend as European Championship?
That's just this is just...
That's a snafu on the calendar. Like, what are they doing?
Yeah, I think then the issue is, you know, you've got these weekends that commit We know that the France weekend was a complete debacle. That race was originally in May. And so this is just the nature of you have a small window of when you can put on triathlon races, right? You've got it from the back end of the shoulder of spring to the early shoulder of fall, and then all summer. So you really only have 5 or 6 months you can put on a lot of these races, and then the weekends that you get are the weekends that you get.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that.
Depth at the T100 and Ironman Pro Series events.
The depth is what's probably exposed here when there's these two series going on. So I would say the top is as good as it's ever been, but the fall off is steep, and that happens for a number of reasons.
I mean, but to give a rebuttal, back in the day, every single Ironman event used to be a pro event. I mean, you have 4 pros in an Ironman event.
Yeah.
I mean, we're in the right
I
direction. I would say the women's field is the most fruitful it has ever been. And it is really, really cool to see that you can watch a race like Zell and not just see I mean, Kat did an amazing job, but not see a 25-minute win by Daniela Reef.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Is the question asking which is deeper? Because I concede T100 is deeper at your average race. At the 70.3s, at the Ironman, you could challenge it. You know, you take Frankfurt or you take Texas or, you know, like Hamburg in the women's side, like they get competitive with the T100. But if you want to start looking in 10th, 11th, 12th place and comparing the quality of the athletes, T100 has the depth at that specific distance. But like Talbot says, bringing in the Pro Series and the T100 series, it actually gives watchable triathlon year round. Whereas before, the big names would barely ever race each other. They'd turn up and there'd be one good race a year and it would be Kona and 70.3 Worlds. Whereas now, it's certainly better, but you got to give I think the nod to T100 on average.
Guys, we have World Championships coming up less than 2 weeks away, 11 days away if you're following Gustav Eden's stories. Will we see an American on the podium at either of the events? This is really important for Kyle for first place American as well, just for the listeners listening.
Male and female.
Yes, in the women's race, yes.
Women's race and the
Who?
men's race. I don't.
Chelsea Starro.
And the men's race. And the men's race.
Yeah.
Who in the men's race?
I mean, the only guy that's run a sub 240 marathon off the bike.
Mr. Rudy Von Berg?
No, Matthew Marquardt.
Only guy that's done what?
Run a sub 240 off the bike.
Is that because like Christian's running sub 230s or what?
No, he ran a 238, 239 at Ironman Cairns.
I don't care necessarily about
Christian ran like
What are we talking?
232.
You guys,
What are you
I
on
thought you guys
about?
were talking about can they podium?
That's what we said.
Yeah,
Can they get on the podium?
Yeah,
Oh, you mean he's the only American that's run a sub 240 off the bike?
correct.
Oh, sorry, I was
I'm
confused.
sure Rudy's ran it somewhere in the past, and I'm just gonna get railed for it.
Is this?
He'll be like, Kyle, hey man, I in Texas, I did a
And Roth, I'm
239.
sure.
I would go as far to say I think we could see Rudy on the podium. Not as far as to say. Why am I even saying as far as to say Rudy could easily get on the podium?
Yeah, I mean, he was fourth here 2 years ago.
The controversy here is Marquardt. If he cramps, then he's going to do good. But also, if he doesn't cramp, maybe he could also do good. So
I just start like Christian, Gustav, Kasper, Jonas Schomburg, Patrick Langer. Like
you create your own luck, Mark.
Possibly Martin Van Riel. It's hard, man. It's hard for any of those guys to say they're on the podium. You know, like if you pick any of them, they have to beat 3 of the others of them, let alone what you could probably call an outsider like Marquardt, even though he's had some brilliant wins this year. You know, he can't afford to piss around playing with cramp against Sam Laidlow dropping 450 watts out of transition, and Schomburg's doing more. It's hard. And the women's side, Taylor Knibb should podium. She is probably the most talented athlete there. It's not been a great year, though.
I would go to say Nice, and I've said this on the podcast many times. Nice is like a 2-pony race. We're either going to see Sam Laidlow win by 15 to 30 minutes, or Christian Blumenfeld's going to win, and it's going to be one of the two. The women's race in Kona, female race, ladies race. Got to make sure I hit all those so I don't get in trouble. The most interesting race of the year will be the race of the year. No one has any idea who's going to win. It could be Kat Matthews, Laura Phillip, Lucy Charles. You could go off 10 other names. No one has zero idea who's going to win this race.
So I think the question was about the Americans. Yes, Taylor Knibb can absolutely podium. She's Taylor Knibb. She's had a bit of a slow start to the year. She's arguably the most talented athlete we've seen in recent years, male or female. I think, like, if we're going to go off of it, Lucy Charles probably goes in as the race favourite. She's won here before. T100 London was amazing. We're not doing a Kona step down, but yes, I think there is more chance, though, you will get a podium out of Taylor Knibb than there is any of the male Americans, I would say.
Yep.
Speaking of pro athletes, I wore the shirt just for the show. If you're tuning into YouTube, we do have a YouTube now, guys. We post all of our episodes on YouTube, so make sure you click on it. Just let it play in the background. Turn it down when your boss walks by your desk. Canyon, though. Swim, Canyon, Run. The reason why I want to mention them, they are, I would say, the best paying bike sponsor in the sport of triathlon. But they had a major shakeup. If you follow them, their CEO recently stepped down this last week, not in a bad way, a controversial way. He stepped down, gave the reins back to the old CEO, Ronan, and their CEO. He's been there about probably 5 years, around there, but he was actually the president of &1 at Nike. So kind of gave the reins back but Ronan loves triathlon. Canyon is what, 40% of the triathlon bikes market at some of these world championship events?
Across the board, Canyon is 40% market share of triathlon bikes. So we bring this up because it's relevant to a large part of our audience. It's positive and negative. Like Nicholas Wallace, who has just stepped down, like he has taken that company in huge strides. But they've always been a big fan of triathlon. And Roman, the obviously founder and now returning CEO, is a serious triathlon fan that loves to support his athletes. He has every single bike that's won Kona or Nice. You know, he buys them off the athletes. So to me, what it says is Canyon will stay invested in triathlon, which is a good thing.
And really cool, something fun fact about this guy. You've probably seen, if you follow one or two of the Canyon athletes, you've probably seen this before. This guy's so obsessed with the sport. For example, and I'm sure Patrick's is there right now, he does not want those bikes touched once they win the world championship on them. So, for example, Patrick Lang's bike, the second he wins the race, that thing is rolled out of transition. It's not cleaned off. It's not polished. They don't take the whatever nutrition off the top tube, all the Gatorade endurance down Patrick Lang's bike. They roll it straight into the Canyon factory and they leave it as is. So it is pretty cool if you ever visit Cobblins. Sorry to.
So some of them are in the Canyon Expo, but he has a house for bikes. So he has a house for bikes, and one of the pro sport mechanics' jobs is once a week, he goes over for a day to the house and maintains and just touches up the bike collection that Roman has. He is a fanboy of the sport.
Yeah.
Next hot take.
Who is the best middle distance athlete in the world right now? I think we could all, on the count of three, say the male one. 3, 2, 1. Hayden. Anyone else? KB.
You guys,
I wouldn't say
I'm
KB.
sorry. I don't want to go too far off on this, but what are we considering middle distance?
Yeah,
I would say 70.3 and T100.
It's Taylor Knibb.
I'm sorry, it's Taylor and Lionel.
It's not Lionel. Go fucking smoke a crack pipe. Like, Taylor Knibb's won the last 4 70.3 world championships. She's won a couple of T100 this year.
Oh, sorry. Okay, all right. I thought I'm getting our timelines confused. Then I thought we were just talking about the year. Are we talking?
Yeah, we could say the year. The year. Who's the best one this year so far?
Christian Blumenfeld. What are we talking about? He ran a 106.
Yeah.
Who gives?
Sorry, I'm with
you guys.
Carl.
He got 14th place.
But the reason why I bring this up, like people put it in hot takes, but the reason why I bring this up, we're not going to see all these people race together this year. That's the sad part. Like all 4 athletes or 5 athletes that we've mentioned, we're not going to see them race at all this year together because
Why
Hayden's not qualified for 70.3 Worlds.
Oh, yeah.
KB and Lionel turned
Yeah.
down T100 contracts, so they're not allowed to race on the T100. So, I mean, we'll never see who the best middle distance athlete is this year. So,
But
I mean-
that's Hayden's fault. He chose not to qualify. Well, he didn't choose. He had a horrible crash. Maybe
I
he was
guess
listening.
there's only
Yeah.
one way to solve this
Because-
debate.
My bad, mate.
No, I was thinking like an Instagram poll. All right, we'll all say a name for male and we'll all say a name for female. We'll let the fans decide because they're the ones that actually decide. Kyle has Christian, Pat has Lionel. Mark, who do you got for the males?
Males,
Yeah.
Christian. Oh, I have to have a different one.
Yeah, you have to have a
It's
different one.
KB. I'm refusing. I'm refusing. It's KB.
I mean, I have to put Hayden's name in the mix,
Yeah, that's fair.
and then we'll do
Yeah.
Yellow Geens?
we'll do other.
Yellow
Yeah,
Geens?
yeah.
Okay,
Take
yellow.
yellow, Mark.
All right,
Yeah, perfect.
all right. Okay, females. I would say this year
I mean, you guys, it's Taylor.
it is Taylor, but the fans.
No. I mean,
decide.
there's been some other. I mean, I think you can. It's Taylor. I mean, I think after London, you can throw Lucy in there. I think then the other tricky one is we should probably put KWA in there for middle distance. And then
Yeah.
the issue is we're gonna run out of names here because after this weekend you got to put Ash in there, you got to put Julie in there. So now we're at 5. Who else am I missing though?
You're missing the person that's come second at the last 2 70.3 world champs and is
and,
undefeated at
and
70.3.
the female
this year.
that just won this weekend, who
Ugh,
also
fucking
happens
cat.
to be your
Don't listen to this
athlete, who maybe your contract's canceled by the
Jesus
end of this
Christ.
podcast.
I mean,
you guys, we're gonna have
looking
kids.
at
Okay.
Looking
We got
at the course in Marbella, Pat. Who are you picking for 70.3 world?
we
Because-
got-
Good.
Okay,
God.
we all get okay.
Jeez, you're
Kyle-
sacked. You're sacked.
So
I zoned
can I
out,
just
sorry.
can I just tell a story quick? Kyle was going off the other day about having to edit the stuff that when Marcus screwed up and said something he wasn't supposed to edit, you say we got to edit it. Tell us
Never
the same.
It's never
Then,
happened.
yeah. So then Kyle's like, Pat, what if I had to edit for you? And I go, no, Kyle. In 4 years, I've never said anything that wasn't supposed to be edited. So now we're at a point where, yes, we got to go back in time. We're gonna have to edit that. Of course, Kat. So then there's 6.
Mark, will Kat listen to this podcast?
Yes, she will. The problem was I was only
and
thinking about.
if he edits it out, I'm telling her in a second anyway.
He's keeping this whole
We're
bit.
not, we'll just leave it in. It's fun. It's good comedic
Yeah.
humor.
All right,
It's
this is
funny.
what
It's
we're going to
good.
do. Let's just, no one say anything, and let's see if Kat says something to Pat about it.
Yeah.
This segment. That's what we're doing. And then Pat, when Kat says something to you, you have to screenshot it, and you have to share it on Pro Tri News Instagram.
She's just gonna send me a thin ice emoji. Is what she's gonna send me.
Yikes. Yikes.
But
All right.
I'm still with Taylor now.
French Riviera doesn't count because Ashley was 7th place in London, and there was 6 females ahead of her, and
No.
only one
I
of
hate this
them
argument
raced.
so
no,
much.
no.
I hate it.
All right,
No.
cut it out.
No.
It was a hot
Go
take.
away.
It was a hot
submitted
take
from
yeah,
a fan.
Yeah. It was not your take. It's
All right.
This
Cost
is a
of
fair point.
entering. Cost of entering a race will begin to kill triathlon.
The
I
problem,
mean, it
I-
is pretty
I
expensive
almost-
to race now.
the
It is,
problem.
and I agree, and it's too expensive, and they're price gouging it a bit. But races
but
are filling up
filling
in
up.
no time at all. So
Yeah. I mean, I tried to register for a gravel race, guys, and it was $325, and I thought, okay, of course I get in. It's $225. I was denied an entry. So, I mean, this is just. I'm sorry. This is just kind of basic economics here. Like, they're testing the ceiling on their price thresholds, and clearly they haven't found them yet. So,
Next one is a 12-meter one. I'm going to skip over it because we have a lot of 12-meter stuff coming at you guys very soon. Next one, Steve McKenna. Pause the podcast, another group huddle. This is our opportunity to get our Australian follower back. Don't screw it up. Steve McKenna runs 2:18 at the Sydney Marathon.
must have been
Whoa!
short. Must have been short.
That's
He probably-
awesome.
or Or he got in a taxi halfway round. No jokes. That's fucking wicked. That is some
Yeah, that is
serious
awesome.
running.
Yeah, congrats. to
You love
Steve.
to see it. He's a good
Yeah.
runner and he's a great athlete.
T100 broadcast is better than Ironman. Is this a hot take? I don't know how this is a hot take. I thought it was
just a hot take.
should be like a
It's
fact take.
There's, and
We
I just
agree
want
with you. Thank you for submitting.
Yes.
I mean, this is really simple, right? Like, if you're going to be put on HBO Max here or Warner Brothers, you know, in the States, your product has to reflect that. T100 has a product that reflects that, right?
Yeah.
So,
Or we're gonna run through these ones pretty quick. KB wins Nice by 5 minutes. I would say Laidlow has something to say about that.
And I reckon the other Norwegians might be able to close the run gap to that, so it won't be a full 5 and they'll get off the bike with him. But I mean, can he win it by 5 minutes? Yeah, he absolutely can.
does he just win that on the run? I'm confused where the 5 comes from. Is it this is planning that he gets the entire, like, we're coming in as a group?
If you do the math, Pat,
Yeah, but what group?
he's been riding fantastic. He's lost 5 kilos himself of body weight for the climb. That's what he told me. So he's going to be able to ride with everyone up the mountain.
He won't outrun Langer by 5 minutes, but you assume Langer won't make that group if KB's ripping. Is the assumption for that number? How we get to the 5 minutes, and then he gets off the bike a bit fresher than everyone else because he's fit and he can run a 2:29, and others run a 2:34, which is still good running. It's possible.
And is his back healed up? Because I heard he had back problems.
KB?
Yeah.
From carrying the
That's from
Norwegian
carrying
high
his
train on
huge
his back all
balls.
season?
Yeah. One or the other. I'll take it, yeah.
I mean, and you got Sam Laidlow. Don't forget, he's paying Jamie to ride off the front. They'll have Jonas up there, so Magnus will leave the group and catch them on the descent. Guys, I'm excited.
It will be the fastest T1 because Jonas Schomburg is going to sprint that T1.
Patrick Lang wins. Yes or no? No.
I don't want to say no.
Maybe.
Guys, he got second the last time we raced here, and he won by 8 minutes last
year.
Guys,
but the newer generation of boys is here. These two
they were here in Kona and they got shit on.
You guys, I am not willing to bet against Patrick yet.
Guys,
I'm going with Pat. I might not pick him, but I'm certainly not saying he can't win.
Yeah, that's where I'm at too. He's on a list of people that I am
afraid to bet against.
Yeah. Well, this is
he's on a list of people I'm planning to run next to and give splits on the promenade.
Yeah.
Hold on a second. I watched a video this morning on the Ironman Instagram, and Jan said 3-time Ironman world champion. Could you imagine Patrick wins this, and he's the greatest long distance? He's the GOAT. The GOT of German long course triathlon.
People will still deny it. They'll still fanboy Jan because he's just tall and pretty and speaks well.
Yeah, but Jan's not even German.
Guys,
I like how Gordon Ramsay called him out on that. He goes, "You're South African and you've never done whatever the longest ultra race is." He called him out. He said he reminded everyone that Jan is not actually all German sausage.
Gustav Eden wins.
I could see it, but mainly I want to.
It would be the greatest trajectory, one of the greatest sports stories of all time.
Do we decide if Gustav wins based on the hat he comes running out of T2 in?
Well, he's already wearing that hat on the track, so
Martin Van Riel
wins. Thinks he'll win. So there you go. Solveig Losseth, who's Norwegian, trains with them. She's called Gustav for the win.
Martin Van Riel wins.
Okay, you guys, we have a preview show. We have a preview show coming, a live show.
What are we doing?
We saw.
I separated those so we covered them like whenever those races were happening.
Guys,
that's right.
I'm giving everyone a taste of our live show in Nice coming up?
Friday, 1:30 p.m. at the Café du Cycliste. We'll be posting a graphic about it.
Guys, we are super excited for Nice. We have lots of things planned. There's been a lot of talk, and we just want to extend the welcome to two people to come on the podcast. People think there's a lot of beef between us and Jack Kelly. We would love to have Jack Kelly come on the live show, and also Scott Deroux. Scott, it's your World Championship. We would love to have you come and show your biased opinion towards the professional athletes racing
He'd just
in Nice.
pick Patrick Lang. He'd pick Patrick Lang because he loves.
Well, we want Scott to double down. Scott, we would love to have you on the live show. We might beat you up a little bit, but we would love to have you. Everyone, we are super, super excited for Nice. It's going to be an awesome time. So make sure you're following us on all the socials. You can watch our live show. If you're not going to be in Nice on YouTube, if you are in Nice, make sure you follow us on Instagram so you can get updates on when we're doing it and all that, the time, the location, and all that. Other than that, we are stoked. Championship week is here, and there's no better place to follow it than the #1 podcast in triathlon, Pro Tri News.